tonight. Just been doing a few little things. I fitted the fuel petcock to the petrol tank, and I realized I hadn't softened the rubber grommets that fit in the fuel tank, so I'm doing that. You behave. So they're sitting in the softening solution, and I've been my replacement cylinder actually arrived, the correct one, and it looks pretty nice. The casting on it's all nice. The pistons are basically the same as those other ones I got, I think. But interestingly, on this cylinder, this only has space for 2 dowel pins. So I'm not sure how well this would work on that original head. It's kind of strange. I did hunt around outside. I went fishing with a magnet in a plastic bag all over the grass, and I didn't find the missing dowel pins, but I did find something that I was missing that I hadn't realized I was missing, which is this little plastic, this little metal, it's a sort of washer, special washer. It goes into an oval hole, so this has got a little bit of adjustability in it. And I knew I was missing it when I put this together. I just used a normal washer, but I hadn't realized that I actually had it originally. So it must have fallen off this when I was cleaning it. So that's on there. The dowels that I'm missing, I wasn't too worried about those being missing because I know I can get them. The problem is getting them locally. So I've ordered some from China. They're like $1 each. They're dirt cheap. It'll just take a couple of weeks to get here. I did find a local supposed seller of them. They say they're a Honda parts dealer, and I didn't order through the website and just haven't heard anything back. But that site looks a bit kind of weird to me, a little bit dodgy possibly. So I'm not too worried about that. The senders of this said I can do whatever I want with the wrong one. So maybe I'll try and sell that and recoup some of the money, which would be good since I'm not using this anyway. This will just be a spare now. And I've been reassembling bits off the seat. Because the rubber grommets that go in here, they're a special shape. They've got an oval hole because the little metal spaces are oval to give you some adjustment on the seat catch. So normal grommets won't do. So I modeled up and 3D printed some in TPU plastic, and TPU is just a pain in the neck to print because it's so soft. So it took ages to get it to successfully print. And then I discovered I hadn't made them fat enough. So they need to be fatter than the metal, of course, so that they sort of clamp down. So things don't rattle. So I need to tweak my model, make them slightly fatter and reprint them. But while I was struggling to get these to print, I honestly spent about 2 hours doing it. I was seriously considering, should I just upgrade my 3D printer? I've been looking at the Bamboo Lab ones. My 3D printer is one I built myself about 8 years ago, literally from scrap. All the aluminium frame for it came out of the scrap bins when I was at Weta, and the rest of it is just cheap Chinese screws and motors and controller and all that kind of stuff. It's done really well in 8 years. The reason I built my own is because I needed a big build volume. I needed 300 mil by 300, but the new printers now have automatic everything, automatic filament handling. They just print beautifully out of the box. You know, they're like consumer grade products now, not tinkerers products. So I am considering getting one, but they're not cheap. We're talking $3,000 or $4,000, which, you know, that's like another motorbike, basically. But I would quite like to finish building my 3D printed Enigma machine, and you know, maybe it's something I'll look at getting. It would print material like this easily, just automatically. But just looking at the number of extra features on these printers now and the things they can do automatically, automatic bed leveling, first layer detection of how good it is, automatic setting of everything, heated build volumes, which I don't have. It might just be time to upgrade to a new printer, but we'll see. But I should be able to print a few more of these. It'll just have to be in a couple of days' time because tomorrow I'm in the office. But that's all we've really done on the motorcycle. I'm just still waiting for the red coat to completely dry. Basically, you wait until the smell of acetone disappears from the tank. Cleaned up the petrol cap. I've got two of these because I've got a spare tank, but one of them, the vent seems blocked. So this is the one where it's not blocked because I can't figure out how to unblock it. I think maybe I'll need to put the cap through the ultrasonic cleaner and clean whatever's on the inside of it out. But this one is working. It's still got fluid in it because I sprayed it out with brake clean to try and get the anti-rust stuff out of it. So there's that, and just a little tiny bit of Riley stuff. I picked up these gauges off Trade Me. So this is they're out of an old Jaguar, but this is a 2-to-1 anti-clockwise rotation tachometer, which is what I need in the Riley. So I would like to maybe modify this and replace the industrial one I've got in there with a nice big faced gauge. I did hold it up next to it before, and I may need to just tweak the instrument panel, make a new one basically because it's too small, and I need a little bit of extra room here, and then I can fit that gauge there. So we need to do that. Other than that, it's just waiting for things now, I guess. And then hopefully we can get this thing finished. So I have been watching a lot of motorcycling content on YouTube, which is quite interesting. I've been watching long way up, long way down, long way round, long way whatever they do. Because I never watched those when they came on initially, but they're more travel programs. There's not a lot of stuff about motorbikes in them except for when they break down or they drop them. But still, it's interesting. I don't mind Ewan McGregor. And there is an event on at the local car museum, Southwards, which is the one I go to all the time. I think it's the 27th of September. They've got a motorcyclist day thing there. So, you know, it would be awesome if I could ride one of the bikes there. But again, I don't know if I'm confident enough to ride that far. I say that far, it's like 20 minutes away, 20-minute drive. But, you know, I haven't done any actual riding in traffic or around other vehicles and things. So I may not ride to that. But I want to go to it and, you know, have a look at the motorbikes and things. So that'd be the aim. Friday night, I'm out in the shed, and my dowel pins arrived from the local company, which is really good. I didn't hear anything for a day, but then they got back to me the next day, said, yep, here's the bank account, deposit some money, and they arrived the very next day. So that was who it was, Anaconda. New and used Honda parts, and the dowels are brand new Honda branded dowels. So they went in easily. And what I'm doing now is putting the camshaft back in. I've got the head back on. Obviously it's not bolted up yet because you need the rocker boxes. But you have to get the cam timing right, and this is a real pain in the neck. So inside there, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little window and there's a little T marking, which is for top dead center. And I confirmed, yes, when that mark is lined up with the mark on the casing, the right-hand cylinder is at top dead center. So the piston's right at the top there. I've removed the camshaft bushes. One of them slides on, and the other one is, there's a circlip that holds it, but I've taken those off because what you have to do is basically I don't think you'll be able to see it, but on this gear there are two little dots, one there, one there. Those need to be horizontal when this is at top dead center. And as you can see, there's not a lot of room to maneuver the chain. Just getting everything in place is really hard. You have to kind of work this all through. You have to get the chain up on the sprocket, and then you have to get it aligned. And I've found the only way to do that, or the easiest way to do that, is take the bushes out. This isn't attached to the cam at the moment, so this is free to move. But I found you can only just get the chain over this, even with this cutout, so that you can get it nice and low, drop down. And then what I found was I was one tooth off, and then it's almost impossible to get the chain off this sprocket again, because you've also got the chain tension in there. Even with all the tension taken off it, it's still relatively tight against the chain. But I found the easiest way to adjust it, one tooth or so, is rest it so the cutout is at the top here, so you've got the maximum up and down travel on this, and then you push it as far down as you can, and you sort of scoot it around the bottom gear, if that makes sense. So you hold the chain on the top sprocket, and there's just enough slack in there that it'll clear the bottom sprocket, so you can rotate it slightly, and then when you pull it up again, you check the timing mark hasn't moved, and you check those two dots haven't moved, and you can see it's in the right place. So now what I can do is rotate the cam around to get those bolts back in. I haven't got a torque setting on those, but I'm putting them in with Loctite and then just doing them up tight. So I think what I should probably do is get the bushes on first, and then while I can still wiggle this up and down, and then get those bolts in. And then it's a matter of getting these on, getting everything bolted down, and adjust the cam settings, the tappets. So that's still at top dead center. You have to make sure this doesn't move, because every time you move that chain, you rotate the crank. There's also a little mark on this plate, so I'm assuming that'll be opening at top dead center. So this sets the ignition timing. So there's two timings going on here. There's the cam timing and the ignition timing. So when people talk about timing an engine, they can mean one of two things. Either timing the camshaft with the pistons, or timing the ignition with the pistons and camshaft. The other thing today is I finished 3D printing my little bits and pieces, and I've reattached the seat. It is missing the little rubber buffers at the moment, so I'm still waiting for those. But my little rubber grommets that I printed up here are all good. They're just printed in TPU. And I also was able to buy from the UK replacement stickers. Two of these stickers only cost $10 to get to New Zealand, which is super good. So the postage on these from the UK was cheaper than the postage on those two dowels from a little bit further up the country to me. It always amazes me how that works. Postal union, that's what it's all to do with. There's a bit of wobble in this, and I think I might need to adjust the seat a little bit, but that's okay. There we go, it seems to be doing the trick. So let's get this buttoned up. I thought it was worth showing in case it's useful to anyone, but yeah, this is really tricky to do. There's just so little clearance around everything. Finally got this sorted out. I didn't realize there were actually two timing marks, but luckily I had got the right one, and I don't think it matters as long as you've got the correct one. But I have gone through and I've actually checked that the valves are opening at the right times and the ignition is happening at the right times, and that confused me at first because I thought it was firing on the wrong stroke, and that's because it does, because it's driven off the crank, so there's a lost spark. I think that's correct. I've gone through and I've set the valve timings, the valve clearances. I misread the book at first and thought it was 0.5 millimeter. I thought that seems pretty generous. Set them and then went back to the book and realized no, it's 0.05 of a millimeter, or 2 thou, which seems a lot more sensible. I've set all that. I've rechecked everything. I'm sure it's correct. I've even put my multimeter across the points, and you can see there's a little mark in there that says F before the T. That says it's firing. The reason it's confusing is because the manual talks about a rotate the crankshaft until the T1 mark shows up, and on other bikes it's a TL mark. On mine it's T and then T1, but pretty sure I've got it correct. I will check it one more time before I put the valve cover on, just to make sure it's absolutely right. But I think then the engine is basically done. All I need to do is put the cover back on. I've torqued up all the bolts, torqued up the 3 extra ones. I've loosened off you loosen off this lock nut and the chain tensioner will spring to where it needs to go. And that seems about right. The chain isn't slack at all. Everything's covered in oil. So I think we're looking pretty good. I think I've gone as far as I can with this tonight, mainly because it's getting dark and I'm struggling to see what I'm doing. My eyes are tired as well, but I'm trying to sort out the points gap. I think the points are okay. They kind of look unworn or reasonably new. I gave them a clean. I had a bit of a struggle getting the screws holding the little points plates in place. They were all a bit knackered, so I've actually replaced them with some little M4 Allen head screws. I had to cut those down, so I used the trick where you drill and tap a hole through a plate the appropriate size, and you put the screw through the plate, cut the end off, and then put the back of it, the cut side on the linisher. It gets it smooth, and then as you pull it out of the plate, unscrew it, it cleans up the thread on the end. Because those screws can't be too long, because otherwise they'd hit the advanced mechanism behind the plate. So they're all cut down to the exact size. The gaps are fine, but what I'm finding is you seem to run out of adjustment for the static adjustment. But again, I may just need to be more careful about setting things up to get this to work. But I'll have another look at that tomorrow. I was using my multimeter to help buzz out the points. The other way you can do it is with when this is all connected up with a light bulb. So this engine, I think, tomorrow is ready to go back in the bike. I could always try firing it up on the bench, but I think I'll just get it back in the frame and do it there. Check everything works. Seats in place. Petrol tank is... I need to take the little rubber grommets out of the rubber softener, put those back. Then the tank's good to go back on. That's all been lined. I put this through the my zinc plating, my nickel plating bath, just to see if I could get a coating of nickel on it, just to stop it rusting. Not sure how well that's gone. It's a bit hard to see. I haven't tried polishing it. I just cleaned it up. So that should be good to go. That PET in there does work. It's one of the original ones that came on my spare tank, but it seems good. The original one is knackered. It doesn't seal. So valves all done, engine's all good. Just need to sort out the timing and the static timing. Got a nice label on there to remind me to put oil in the thing. Everything turns over nicely. I need to gap the spark plugs, put them in. It'd be interesting doing a compression test before I put it all together, see what the compression actually is before I start, and then later on I can do another compression test and see if there's any change, because I believe it should go up as just a little bit as the new pistons and rings bed into the cylinder bores. Don't know how much difference it'll make. But yeah, that's, I think, let's see, points there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much ready to go back in the bike tomorrow.